Okay, I am back. Welcome back to another live Q&A session. Again, I've just showed up without any prior warning, so anybody who shows up, great. I'm happy to answer questions. Of course, if you're watching me at this point, you're probably watching me after it's been archived. So, we're going to do a little bit of talking. And then when enough people are here and when I'm not ranting about something, I will take some questions. So today what we are going to talk about is the 5 tools necessary to escape the matrix. I've talked, I haven't talked for a while, but I was talking for a while about the matrix and how to master the matrix. There's a video, if you haven't watched it, I believe the 5 rules to master the matrix, the 3 rules, something else about the matrix. So if you haven't watched those, go back and watch those, because that gives some very good understanding. So I'm kind of starting in on the first step. So there are 5 tools here. 5 tools that I'm going to give to you that you can use to escape the matrix. And I'm going to be explaining to you what I mean when I say escape the matrix as opposed to exit the matrix, as opposed to mastering the matrix. I'm going to be talking about that. And I want to say that there's a lot of talk about matrix. There's a lot of talk about exiting the matrix. And some of them is some pretty good stuff. Some of it, at least for me, not so great. And I'll go so far as to say that the majority of people who are talking about the matrix, in my opinion, it's just my opinion, have limited information. So they're talking about, partial truths. And this is the problem when we're dealing with the nature of the universe. Is that if we have partial information, it can mean that somebody can be right, but if you don't have all of the information, then you're going to end up trapped in a teaching that ultimately will, for lack of a better word, be false. But, listen, we live in this multi-dimensional universe, and, as we're learning, we can only handle so many dimensions of thought at one time. So that's why I say lots of these teachings aren't wrong, they're just incomplete. And so when you are able to open your mind up beyond, certain limitations, then you can see more and more complete understandings about these issues. So let's see, the sun's starting to go down. Let's see if I can make things a little brighter in here for me. Before I get into anything, I'm going to show you what the 5 keys are. Go ahead and write them down or log them into your memory, because then we're going to talk about them, and then we'll take it from there. So those of you who follow me know that in order to truly understand some of these deep esoteric things, you first have to have a proper understanding of what it is that we're talking about. So the one thing I want to do is share with you my understanding of what the matrix is, because if you don't have that understanding, a true understanding of what the matrix is, then it really won't matter what I say, because you won't be able to apply it. Because if, again, assuming that I'm coming from an actual working understanding of this, if you have a misunderstanding and you apply, even if it's true tools, you apply it to with a false assumption, a false basic understanding about it, it won't matter. I've used this example before. This is like when super religious people want to convert you, right? They usually have some book, like born-again Christians will have the New Testament, and they'll want to convert you into their way of thinking, but their basis for all of their assumptions, for all of their beliefs, for all of their statements, come from their understanding of the New Testament. So when and usually the trap that people fall into is they want to start talking about, what did Jesus mean by that? And, does God really punish people? And is there a hell? And so people start arguing, but really the problem is that they don't share a fundamental understanding. And so when religious people, they haven't for a long time, but if they were to try and get me into some religious conversation, the first thing I would say is, hey, listen, we don't share a fundamental assumption. Your assumption is that the Bible is the inerrant word of God. I don't believe that, so anything that you say that's based on that book isn't going to mean anything to me, and you're not going to be able to back up any of your statements or your arguments because I don't share that same fundamental assumption. And then once those super religious people are pulled off of that, they can't really have a logical discussion with you because the things that they say don't make any sense outside of their frame of reference. And so they understand that, which is why they're constantly, and when I was in Bible college many years ago, we had this thing called the 4 spiritual laws. And it was brilliant because you would basically set up an assumption about what the universe is, that God, that man is sinful, that man is apart from God, that God can't accept you, Jesus has to die on the cross. And if you accept those things, then you can logically become a born-again Christian. But if you don't accept that fundamental assumption, it doesn't work. Which was why the 4 spiritual laws is a brilliant way to proselytize, because it gets somebody at least to understand what the assumption is that they want to talk about. So why am I going on and on and on about this? Because we first have to understand what the matrix is. A lot of you, if you're new to this channel, you may have an idea of what the matrix is, and you're going to find that as I talk that I have a different idea. I think I have a more complete idea of what the matrix is, and so that is going to change everything. So that's the first key, is that you have to have knowledge. You have to have knowledge of what the matrix is. So, we're using this term matrix, and it's very popular now, especially in spiritual circles. The idea that we live in this computer program that we call a matrix, which is used to keep you trapped, which is used to lie to you, which is used to seduce you into a false reality so that you don't question, so that you don't learn the truth, so that you can be controlled, on and on and on and on. So this is a very popular understanding. But understand, this is a fairly new concept, using the word matrix. But this is not an old idea. Definitely not. The Hindus called it Maya, illusion. And my ancestors had a word for what we call the matrix now, which was weird. W-Y-R-D, weird. The reason why we use the word weird, W-E-I-R-D, is because it's the same word. And as Roman one world empirical Christianity was coming into Northern Europe, where this belief of weird, which we would call the matrix, was so ingrained into people that even the church could not get rid of it. To this day we use the word weird all the time, but we use it to mean things that are strange or unexplainable or gross or frightening. But weird had a completely different concept. Weird comes from the word to weave. Weave together. And the matrix, as we call it, was known as the web of weird. So first, if we want to use that word matrix, we have to know what that word actually means in Latin. And matrix means the mothers, plural, the feminine aspect. And Maya in the Hindu is seen as a goddess. She weaves, the spider woman, the myths of the spider woman. Renee will love that. The myths of the spider woman talk about weaving together reality. Well, weird is, at its base, a threefold, which is why we live in 3 dimensions. It is a threefold process of weaving time and space together. And so we'll get into that. I'm going to get into what the nature of the matrix really is, and that the matrix responds to you, whether you're aware of it or not. And so that's why it's so important you understand what the matrix actually is, because your assumption, your belief about what the matrix is will determine how it interacts with you. So that's why it's really important. I'm going to challenge some of your beliefs if you're new to this channel. I'm going to challenge some of your beliefs as to what the matrix is. But at the same time, whatever your belief of the matrix is going to be true for you. Because the matrix responds, the web of weird, the web of life force energy responds to you. It responds to your belief about it. So we'll get into that. So before I launch into any other long rants, I want to see if anybody's on the channel. If you're just coming on, especially if you're new to the channel, excuse me, the best way to interact with me is to ask a question. People like to come on and dump their opinion or make big statements, which is fine if you want to do that, but I'm going to respond to questions. If you do make a statement, and if you're not familiar with my teachings, and I see something that I either have a different idea or I want to bring some more completion to your idea, I may correct it. You might get your feelings hurt. So again, the best way to just find out where I'm at is to ask me questions, and then you can make decisions based on that on your own time, and unless you want me to analyze your ideas. So let me take a look and see. We do have some people online. Nobody's has chatted or left a question, which is absolutely fine. So again, let's take a look at what the 5 tools are, so that I'm going to talk about it. I'll try and limit it, because each one of these tools can take hours and hours and hours, you know, especially with me, the way that I can go off on tangents for hours at a time. So let me just put up again what the 5 tools for escaping the matrix are. So we're dealing with number 1 still, which is knowledge. What is the matrix? Because again, without that knowledge, even if you have access to these other tools, you are less likely to be successful. Because if you do not understand how you interact with this web of life force energy we call the matrix, then you will stay trapped. And so I want to be clear about something. What I'm going to say later may sound like I'm contradicting what I'm about to say. But it is true that the matrix is designed to trap your attention. It is designed to keep you trapped. But it also has within it methods and wormholes and buttons and levers and all kinds of other things that you can use to turn it around so that you can use the matrix for your own enjoyment, just like Neo did in the movie The Matrix, you know, where he ended up mastering it and he could manipulate it. You can do that as well. It's designed to give you one of 2 basic experiences. There's of course a big gray area in between, but it's designed to give you 2 basic experiences. One is you will feel trapped, you will feel controlled, you will feel small, and you will feel as though you are a victim of circumstance, a victim of powers greater than yourself. That is one way to experience the matrix. That's built into it. The second way is to actually be able to control it and manipulate it. So a lot of times, I'll answer this, a lot of times people will say, this is one of the first things people will say is, you know, if you've mastered the matrix, why are you still here? Well, there's an assumption that once you master the matrix, you're going to want to leave. Which isn't true. You'll see, if you get to the point where you can master this thing, you don't want to leave. And there's a whole, you know, we could talk about that. You know, how it is you've chosen to be here, why you want to be here. By the way, there's nobody in this matrix, no human being in this matrix that doesn't want to be here. But this is how the game is played. Once you're in it, you tend to forget. And so the danger, which is why the game is fun. Listen, if it was easy and if there wasn't any challenges to it, we wouldn't play it. We only play games that have challenges to them. Otherwise, we get bored. So this life in this matrix has a lot of challenges to it. And the main one is to get trapped. Is to get trapped in the illusion. So I talk a lot about waking up within the dream. And once you wake up within the dream, you can master it. This is why a lot of shamanic practices teach lucid dreaming. Because it's exactly like that. If you've ever had a lucid dream before, where you're dreaming and everything seems real, but you realize you're in a dream, and you go, oh, I'm dreaming. Once you do that, then you know you can do anything. You can make anything happen. You can fly, you can, whatever it is. That practice is to teach you to be able to do the same thing in waking reality, so that you have this ability. And we talked about this when we talked about weird, which is that when you do that, however, people won't see you doing something magical, because you won't just be doing tricks within the matrix. You'll actually be controlling the matrix. And when you control the matrix, everybody inside of it who is controlled by the matrix won't see what you're doing. They won't understand that you're doing something truly magical. So true magic is beyond all of the fancy stuff like being able to levitate things or disappear or travel out of your body or even healing or reading people's minds. Those are tricks done inside of the matrix. They're not the true mastery. That's not true magic. True magic, when you do it, nobody else knows that you're doing it. So having knowledge of the matrix. So let's talk about weird, because weird is important. W-Y-R-D. Let's see if I have the weird goddesses here. This was a screenshot from the last Q&A that we did, so forget about the title, but here's a picture of the 3 Norns who weave time and space into what we call weird or fate or destiny. So those 3 Norns or 3 are seen as 3 giantesses, 3 super goddesses. They're so powerful, in fact, that the gods themselves are subject to the Norns, the fates. There's 3 of them. And we experience them as present, past, and future. It's important that you understand it in that context. It's not past, present, and future. Time does not work like that. Time works from the present. Present creates the past creates the future. And so that's the key. If you can understand how in the present moment you can change the past, you'll change your future. And when you do that, everybody will have this experience that everything happened the way it was supposed to, but you'll have this awareness. If you stay awake in the dream, you'll have this awareness that you actually change things. So that's the basic understanding of how weird works. I want to go one step further, which is really important. So weird is, or the matrix. Again, matrix means mothers. Here we see it again in Norse mythology, 3 goddesses, 3 mothers. But matrix, before it became known from the movie, by the way, all this idea of the matrix, as we understand it, came from the movie. So let's not confuse a movie with reality. The movie is a symbol. Everything in that movie is absolutely divinely channeled truth. And this is true with all true mythology, all true even fantasy literature, even comic books. If it's coming from a place of real knowledge, even if it's in symbolic form, it's still teaching truths. That if you're able to decode those truths, then you can master. This is one of the pitfalls that a lot of people get into. There's a lot of people who are constantly analyzing every single, they watch television for, symbols here and there. They're overdoing it. They got the right idea that everything has a symbol, and if you look for the symbols, you can find keys to the matrix. But, if you get so trapped in your own intellect, that's part of it. Then you're trapped in the illusion of it, the idea that the whole idea, anyway, I could go on and on and on. But don't get too wrapped up in all that stuff. Understand, here's where it comes down to. If you have an assumption that the universe is your enemy, then you're going to be trapped. I don't care how much study you do, I don't care how much meditation you do, I don't care how much energy work or magic you do. If you believe that the universe is your enemy on any way, if it's controlling you, if you're a victim of circumstances, if you believe that you are inescapably trapped, that God hates you, that the universe hates you, that evil archons are out to suck your life force and destroy you, if you have that belief, you will stay trapped. But it will be true for you, because here's the other part. So people who believe that aren't wrong. It just means that the matrix is responding to their belief. And then as we've talked about earlier, what happens is the universe responds to your belief and your intention, then goes back into time and justifies it so that everything makes sense. So you have to understand that the matrix believes that you are already Neo. It believes that you are God. And so since it is literally listening to you for you to tell it how to manifest your matrix, your reality. If you have the belief on any level that you are a victim, it goes, oh, okay, I'll make that happen for you. Because it thinks you know what you're doing. The web of life force energy is made of, by the way, everything in the universe is made of life force energy. Me, my glasses here, this cup of tea, you, everything. The rocks, the trees, everything is made of life force energy. Some of the things like I just mentioned, like cups and glasses and things like that, are things that are created literally with intent. You know, this doesn't work unless somebody intends to make something which helps me see better, right? But everything is made up of life force energy, and things that are especially coming from nature not only are made up of life force energy, but they also have consciousness. So that means every single thing in the universe, even if it's an idea, is made up of, is woven together with this life force energy. And this life force energy has consciousness. Now, it doesn't have the same kind of consciousness that you and I do, but it has a conscious awareness, and it's very malleable. And it's like it's almost like a blank screen that has just enough life and consciousness in it that it responds directly. It has a relationship with you and responds directly to your intent, your belief. So that's the first thing. You have to have knowledge. So we could get into all of that, you know, on a very deep level and talk about what weird is and how life force energy is woven together to create this matrix, this web. You know, webs are, these words don't come out of nowhere. We call it the matrix, but web is another one. And what is a web? A web is designed to catch insects. A spider creates a web, and when you crawl into it or fly into it, you're stuck and you can't get out. So this web is designed to trap your senses and trap your awareness into three-dimensional reality. It is designed to do that. So you are trapped on that level, unless, of course, you understand what it is, and like in the movie, you see through it, you see the code. Then you're no longer trapped by it, but you manipulate it, you control it. Okay? So I'm going to give you some tools on how not only to understand that, to escape it if you want to, but you know, once you get to that point, I'm telling you, you don't want to escape. You want to finish out the game. people who want to escape, by the way, I get this question a lot. You know, people want to achieve enlightenment and not have to be reincarnated again. If you have a need or a desire to not reincarnate again, you are guaranteed you will. Guaranteed. Now I know it's might upset a lot of people. I know it would have upset me, you know, 10 years ago probably, but the people who don't have to come back are the people, you know, at the end of their life are like, yeah, I can come back or not. Doesn't matter to me. Whatever. I'm happy to do it. I'm happy to do whichever one. Those are the people that get to leave. Because they, you know, the need to escape is one of the signals that the web of weird, that the matrix responds to. Because the need to escape comes from fear and comes from an assumption that you are an enemy of the universe or God or the devil or evil archons or whoever it is or the planet Saturn. As long as you have that belief, the web of life force energy goes, oh, they want to play out the victim role. Let's create that for them. And it's like if you're in a web, in a spider's web, the more you struggle, the more you get stuck in it. It's like if you're, you know, when a boa constrictor wraps around you, it waits for you to exhale and then squeezes a little more. So the more that you struggle, the more you end up, it just squeezes and squeezes and squeezes. So when you're not struggling anymore, that's when you're able to extricate yourself and then play with it. Okay? So, let me see if there are any questions here. Got 17 people watching now. Billy Bonewhacker says, this sounds crazy. Sometimes I can summon hawks and balls of light. Is that me or it? I guess that's you. But as fun as all that is, and I'm not saying don't do that, it's not, it's like a card trick. It's not the real thing. That's on a lesser level, not what I'm talking about when I say being able to master the matrix. I'm not trying to judge it. It's fun. Have as much fun with it as you want. And it definitely shows you that there's some kind of interaction, that this web of life force energy has a relationship and responds to you. So I hope you don't feel I'm denigrating. But that's lower level stuff. That's not really where you want to go. So let me see. I actually didn't start at the beginning. Is enlightenment escaping the matrix? Short answer, yes. But then we have to ask, what is enlightenment and what is the matrix? Most people have, in my experience, even most masters and teachers, have an incomplete understanding. So the best way for me to answer that is yes, and then my encouragement to you is to learn what enlightenment truly is and what the matrix really is. And that's, hopefully we'll talk at least about some of that. Billy Bonewhacker. Okay, so again, I'm going to respond to questions. If you're new to my channel, I don't really respond as much to statements, or, you know, you guys can talk amongst yourselves, chat amongst yourselves. I'm more interested in responding to questions. You can make a statement, and if it helps me to talk about another subject, I will, or I'll tell you my opinion, which might be different. Okay, let's see. T6C, what about the influence of others on your reality? It's a good question. That's a very good question. Understand that your question is coming from a two-dimensional frame of mind. And in order to truly understand it, you have to be in a holographic state of mind. A holographic state of mind is when you ask a Hindu, is there only one God? They say, oh yes, absolutely, there's only one God. And then you ask in the same breath, but I thought you believed in multiple gods. They say, oh yes, we believe in multiple gods. Well, is Ganesha real? Oh, definitely. Ganesha is very, very real. Is Ganesha a symbol of the one ultimate reality? Yes, he's just a symbol. So now that doesn't make sense to two-dimensional thinking. It's either one or the other, which comes again from not born again, it comes from originally Catholic Christianity, which the Roman Empire brought in to destroy this kind of thinking. Because you can't control people who think holographically. You can control people who think dualistically, which is why they mandated that you believe in one God. They mandated that you not only believed in that one God, but if you didn't, that you would be killed and that you would go to hell for eternity. They mandated all these things for you to believe. And if you, even if, way back when, things that religious people would applaud you for now, back then, if you read the Bible in Latin or Greek, they'd flay you alive. They'd kill you. Because you would then be able to see what the real teaching is under that, and then you have knowledge, you have power, they can't control you. So that two-dimensional question asks, well, if I'm controlling the matrix, then how are other people, if they're controlling it, then who's controlling who? So the answer to that question is, we are all controlling the matrix, and at the same time, I am your projection. Right now, this moment, if you're listening to me, you have projected me out of your infinity because you wanted to teach yourself. These are things you already know. In fact, I just had this experience today. I've had it before, where I was talking with a student on the phone and realized that some of the things I've been teaching have been coming from his personal musings and meditations, which means I'm a projection of him. And so he's projected me as his teacher. Therefore, when he starts musing about something, I start having awarenesses about it. But so people do have an influence on me. I'll go one step a little bit further, which is I talked about how those of us who have awakened or are in the process of awakening, whether we're teachers or not, we do have a responsibility. And that responsibility is that your awareness has an effect on everybody around you. And I've been talking about this lately, which is that I forget what study it was or whatever, what experiment, a group of meditators in a certain city would meditate, and when they were meditating, when more people meditated, crime went down in the city. When less people meditated, crime went up. It means that those who have an awakening, just by doing what they do for their own empowerment, will bring everybody else up a couple of notches. So we do have a responsibility. So on one level, somebody could say, theoretically, somebody could say that the shaman or the master, whatever word you want to use, has maybe a little more influence on other people's projections. But again, the point of that isn't, I'm not here to influence your projection. I have no interest in that. I'm only interested in my projection. I want to perfect my projection. I'm only interested, this is going to sound, totally antithetical to a spiritual teacher, but I'm doing this for my own benefit. I'm not doing this for you. I don't spend any time thinking about, well, there's a couple of people in my life I think about how I can best help them. But in terms of the world, I really don't spend any time thinking about you. I'm all about perfecting my projection, perfecting how weird, the web of weird interfaces with me. And that is really fundamentally important. Because when you work for your own empowerment, your own enlightenment, your own awakening, whatever word you want to use, that in and of itself automatically guarantees that other people will be benefited by it. So you never have to get into that dualistic fight within yourself about, well, this is what I want to do, but maybe I should do this for the world or for my family or for other people. It doesn't work like that. In fact, as you progress, you will continuously face challenges where you have to make a choice between your own true alignment and other people's opinions and expectations on you. And if you choose to please other people, you become trapped. When you choose to follow the integrity of your own soul, even if you risk losing the rejection of people you love, your family, your parents, your boyfriend, your husband, your girlfriend, your government, your landlord, whoever the heck it is. When you choose your own integrity, your own empowerment, at the expense of other people's expectations on you, you go to the next level. And even if they do reject you, they are empowered. That is your one responsibility. We're going to talk about that later. I'm getting ahead of myself. So that's the first thing, is that what I want you to know is that on the first level, the knowledge of the matrix is that the matrix is not a computer program. That is a good symbol. That's a good starting point, because we understand that. We live with computers, so we understand computer programs. It's not a computer program. It is life force energy. It is a web of life force energy that responds to your intent, your beliefs, your actions, and then reflects back from that. It is designed to keep you trapped in the game. It's designed to do that. But it's also designed to respond to you as you wake up. It is designed to respond and obey you. So people talk about Neo, and people again say, well, if you've mastered the Matrix, why haven't you exited? Again, you're gone from the movie. That's not real life. It's a symbol. You're supposed to identify with Neo. You're supposed to understand that you have the ability to, and he doesn't escape the Matrix, he comes back in and masters it. But we have to have these two-dimensional ideas so that our intellect, our little brain, our little computer in our head can understand it. But it's just a symbol. You have to go beyond the symbol. So Matrix is designed to keep you trapped. It's designed to reflect back to you the reality that you choose to believe in, or that you're capable of believing in. It is made up of life force, energy, and consciousness. It has a relationship with you. You are interconnected with it and everything else within that, including people, rocks, plants, animals, trees, birds, everything. The matrix, the web of weird, is designed to serve you. You are not a victim of anything unless you choose to believe that. And we'll talk about, well, how do you keep that awareness even when all the circumstances are telling you you're a victim of circumstance? Hopefully we'll get to that, and I'll explain to you how you can break that cycle and get out of that deception, that little matrix within the matrix. Okay? So that's basic understanding. So if there's any questions about that, I'll take it. And if not, I'll move on to tool number 2. So, all right, so let me see any questions here. So I hope I answered your question, T6C. I'm again just scrolling through here. Okay, so again, people are making some great comments, but I want to get to some questions. When you get skills, don't get caught up in the... Okay, so somebody else giving their opinion. That's fine. Talk amongst yourselves. Again, Billy Bonewhacker is talking about some visual things he's seen, which to me are interesting, but ultimately that's just kind of a trick within the maze. It's not really, it's fun, don't get me wrong. It's just, seeing lights or smoke and all that stuff. Those are tricks. Those are magic tricks. That's not the real thing. Okay, guys talking to each other, which is fine. Okay, Laura I, Laraeye says, Can you please explain the flashed small sparks of light? I see them with open or closed eyes. They are blue and now some white. There's a lot of things that they could be. My thing is, I mean, you can get caught up in that if you want. I say don't get caught up in those things. I don't know you, so what I'm about to say may not apply to you. I know that I've been in this place, a lot of people I talk to. People who are constantly looking for orbs and flashes of light and all that, in my experience, these are people who are trying to get out of themselves. They're not comfortable within themselves and they want to be distracted. And people like, this is why people love ghosts, why people like to, you know, ghost hunting and all that, because the feeling of being connected to something non-physical gives them a feeling they're connected to spirituality, which gives them some comfort, but ultimately it's kind of a distraction. Ghosts, demons, spirits, land spirits, ancestors, angels, elves, all those things, which I teach about all that stuff. They are all members of the community within the matrix. So you're talking about things that are inside the matrix. Just because we don't see them on the physical level doesn't mean that they're not part of this web. So what I'm talking about today goes beyond that. So I do talk about those things. You can go back and I talk a lot about them. I don't want to talk about that today. But I thank you for that question. All right. Now I see. In the East, the Guru grace is all important. Guru's grace is essential. Do you agree? What am I going to say to that? No. You know, there's a lot within that. Guru's grace, is that Hindu? Is that Sikh? I don't know what that is. I'm going to say yes. I do agree with that, without necessarily adopting any spiritual or religious framework. If Guru means the awakened awareness, yeah, absolutely. In fact, we could talk about the planet Jupiter and all that kind of stuff. I'll talk more about that stuff later, but in short, yes, I agree. T6C, how might channeled understanding from deities or ascended masters relate to our purpose in the dream, the matrix? Excellent question, because they do connect. In order to answer that question, I have to go to number 3, which is we have to talk about the map. So while I'm formulating an answer to that question, once again, in case people are just showing up, take a look at what the 5 tools are to escape the matrix. Let me find that. Here are the 5 tools. We are on number 2, but what you're asking about is number 3. Okay, so let me see your question again. How might channeled understanding from deities or ascended masters relate to our purpose in the dream, the matrix? So the short answer to that is that channeled messages, by their definition, are designed to help you master the matrix. That's the whole purpose of them. And this is how you know the difference between like true mythology or true fantasy writing that's channeled, true channeled teachers, true channeled experiences. Because if it is really from ascended masters or deities or whatever word you want to use, it will have the effect of giving you knowledge about how to progress, how to evolve. You may not see it immediately. In fact, there's been, you know, the times when I've actually had real visions that sometimes go all the way back to when I was like 7 years old, when I had visions and experiences and left my body and all that. I didn't have any idea. I mean, it impacted me, and I had an experience, and may have been either frightening or inspiring for me. But it's not until now, you know, as I'm looking back 40 years, that I see what the message is. And the message wasn't for me then, it was for me now, which is, again, time is not linear. Time goes like this: present, past, future. So then we bring up another question, which is, who are these ascended masters? Because one of the things I've learned is that, especially learned now that I've played with the Matrix, and I've played with Weird, and I know how to go back and change things. I'm still learning, trust me, I'm still learning. But I would go so far as to say that sometimes those beings are you. Future you going into the past and giving yourself knowledge that you wish you had. I talked about this in the last question and answer about Weird, about changing your past. But it's something that it's such a deep subject, we could talk about it all the time. So how might channeled understanding from deities relate to our purpose? They're only about relating to our purpose. So this is something to know. Just because you had a vision, just because you had an experience, just because you took a power plant, just because you talked to a guru who could do things and you saw a light or something like that, it does not mean necessarily that you have had a spiritual experience designed to help you evolve. Because again, the Matrix is designed to trap you. The Matrix is created from within your own unconscious mind. And so this is the problem with that. Dreams, there are 3 types of dreams when you dream at night. Some of them are actual real prophetic dreams where you see the future or you get a message or something like that. Another very common one is you are dreaming about your fears. And the third one is you are dreaming about your narcissistic fantasies. That is exactly how we create our future. That is how we create through the Matrix. And spiritual experiences are no different than any other part of reality. Waking, sleeping, it's the same. It's all part of the same package. So people who think that if they can travel outside their body, they'll escape the Matrix. People who think if they can shamanic travel, they'll escape the Matrix. People who think that they can connect with deities, channel deities, they'll escape the Matrix. All of it is within the Matrix, all of it. And some of it can be helpful, and some of it can be as much of an illusion as anything else. Now, before you start getting into the devil deceiving you and all that kind of stuff, you're the one that does it. You deceive yourself based on your fears and based on your lack of understanding. We talked about that. The first step is you have to have knowledge. Based on your lack of understanding, whoever you are, you create whatever those distractions are, whatever those false teachings are. You create it for yourself. You liberate yourself, and you also keep yourself trapped. So that's why, people, there's, when people, I talk about shamanism, I use the word shamanism, and there's a whole group of people out there who think that shamanism means using power plants exclusively, hallucinogens. Hallucinogens, you can have an experience and you'll find the truth. But you can also hallucinate your own narcissistic fantasies or fears. There's no difference. Changing consciousness like that does not, in and of itself, change your susceptibility to be deceived by your own fears and limitations. Okay? So that's important to understand. That's why, I teach all of these things. I teach meditation. I teach shamanic journey. I teach how to leave your body, how to go into it. I teach all that stuff. So I'm not downplaying any of that. But all those things are tools. And it's no more or less real or true than this waking awareness is right now. In fact, the difference between somebody who's awake and somebody who's trapped is that they can be sitting side by side in the same car, in the same elevator, and one person is controlling the Matrix and the other one is being controlled by it. But you can't tell the difference by looking at them. Okay? All right, so I'm going to do some business, and then I'll answer some questions, and then we'll get to number 3 in the meantime. So let's do some business while I turn my light on and get ready for my next rant. Okay, so now we get to number 2. So I didn't see any questions in there. Again, if you're just logging on, the best way to interact with me is to ask questions. That's the best way to, you can make statements, but the best way is to ask questions. I want to put up again the 5 tools to escape the matrix. Okay, so now we get to what Renee Petronovich is intuiting that I'm going to talk about next. So knowledge is important, as always. Again, if you haven't, go back and watch it. Go back and watch. If you haven't, go back and watch the first question and answer video I did about the free shamanism certification. Go back and watch that, because that is important. You have to have knowledge. Without the base knowledge, without the base understanding of what the matrix is, of what you are and what your relationship is to it and how it interacts with you, the rest of it will be very hit and miss. So, assuming you have the first one, which is knowledge, knowledge isn't always enough. You have to have power. One of the main failings of modern psychotherapy, which I think is great, you know, I've been to a lot of psychotherapy in my life and it's been very helpful, but one of the pitfalls of psychotherapy is that it oftentimes operates from the assumption that if you know what is going on in your unconscious, what your unconscious issue is, then you can fix it. And that's not true. There are plenty of drug addicts out there and alcoholics and, you know, pick your addiction, who know that they're addicted. They know exactly why they're addicted, but they can't stop. And the reason they can't stop is they don't have power. So the same thing is true about the matrix. You may have knowledge about what the matrix is. You may know, mastered all of that awareness, but that knowledge in and of itself may not give you the power. And this is true about life. You may just be simply trapped in a scenario in your life, and you may know exactly why you're there and, you know, what got you there and why do I keep, you know, creating that or attracting that kind of person and blah, blah, blah. And that won't get you out. So you have to have power to be able to overcome the resistance. So since everything is made up of life force energy, including the matrix, including the web of weird, including whatever it is that you're trapped in, even your illusion that you're trapped in is made up of life force energy. The way to overcome that is with life force energy. So now we get to energy work. The Chinese call it Qigong, but Qigong translated in English just means energy work. Just means energy work. Pranayama, and there are so many types of life force energy out there. So first let me talk to you about what life force energy will do for you, and then I'll give you access to some keys so that you yourself can actually gain that power. So, when you have an abundance of life force energy, number one, life force energy is the matrix. The web of weird is life force energy. So when you are doing energy work, you are literally plugging in directly into the source, the energy source of life force energy. So in order to get beyond it, you have to connect with it. A lot of people are trying to escape it, and that only keeps you more trapped. We already talked about that. The more you resist, the harder the culebra, the harder that the snake chokes you, the more you struggle. So in order to overcome that, you have to actually embrace life force energy. You have to embrace the matrix and be filled with its power. And this is done with energy. And one of the benefits of that, now that makes sense on paper, right? But the personal experience of it is that when you connect with life force energy, you're no longer afraid of it. You're not afraid of energy. You're not afraid of God. You're not afraid of, you know, anything, because you feel empowered. You feel nourished. You feel an objectivity will start to overcome your thinking. So one of the main reasons that people need to be doing life force energy work is so that they can see things from an objective perspective. You see your life from an objective perspective. You see people. You start to understand things. You start to get into that place of being able to intuit, of going with the flow, of being surrendered to everything while at the same time mastering it. Being in that place between the worlds. This comes from an abundance of life force energy. So there are all kinds of ways to do it. I have in the description, as I do with all of these, I have playlists and or videos connected to each one of these tools. So please make use of those videos. Go into the description, and I have them listed 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and there's a playlist. Watch those. Even if I'm talking about something that seems unrelated, know that I'm talking about tool number 1, and go get what you can. Again, I can't emphasize it enough. I have so many videos on my channel, and a lot of them aren't being watched. The best ones, some of them aren't being watched. Go and watch my channel. So there's plenty of stuff on there. I give you links to energy work. However, the most powerful energy work I have ever encountered is called Celestial Qigong. It is not just energy work. It's a very high vibrational energy practice that, besides giving you all the benefits of Qigong, it is also designed to do exactly what TC6 asked, which is having to do with connecting with ascended masters. If you this energy practice, when you do it, is designed to give you a connection to energy, to energy masters, but to ascended masters. You may or may not have a personal experience with them, but trust me, they're there. And you will notice that your thinking will change significantly. You will have to face things within yourself, I won't lie to you. But you will gain an objectivity and a power you didn't. In fact, for some people, they don't even realize how much power is available to them and how trapped they are. You know, reading books about all this stuff doesn't give you the personal experience of it. You can't have any of these things without power. So this is Celestial Qigong. You can go to Amazon.com and type in Celestial Qigong, and it'll come up. And I believe that there's a streaming version as well. So that is the best gift I can give you, is that. Having said that, you know, you can still gain benefits, because a lot of things that are in Celestial Qigong I've already taught for free on the YouTube channel. So go to the Qigong and work there. You have no excuse. Nothing but power available. So I could go on and on and on, but basically you understand it. You know, I've given you in tool number 1 the basic knowledge, and I think you understand that the matrix, the web of weird, is designed to keep you trapped. So in order to be free of that web, you have to fill yourself with the power of that web. Then you can be free. So you have to be able to overcome the resistance. So that is number 2. So take a look at, again, what's coming up in number 3 while I check to see if there are any questions. Okay, so there are some good questions, some really good questions. So I'll do my best to answer the questions. What's coming up next is the map. We'll talk about that, and that's an important point, but let me answer your questions first. So, Brian Woodward said some nice things. Thank you. Time to put the kids to bed. Love your videos. Really enjoy how you teach. Thank you, Brian. I appreciate that. Makes me feel good. I appreciate compliments. I'm still human, and positive reinforcement is always good for me. Lucinda Sky says, how do we thrive financially while in a matrix? Well, if I'm understanding you, you use the indefinite article, a matrix, meaning you've got your own problems, you've created your own little matrix. Even if that's not what you meant, that's kind of what it is. This is a real simple answer, that finances represent how connected you are to your inborn life path desire. So I could say, you know, if you are following your true path in life, you will have money. And people may scratch their heads and wonder what that means. Your one true path, which we'll talk about later, is the thing that gives you the greatest happiness. So if you're having financial issues, I don't know, am I wrong here? Do you have kids? Am I having a moment here? Do you have children? Why am I seeing a woman with children? I don't know if that's you or somebody else, or if I'm just having my own little brain fart. The way that we thrive financially is making sure that we are following our true path. Your true path is what gives you the greatest happiness. The main lesson in the Matrix is that you will be forced multiple times throughout your life to make a choice between following what you truly want, what makes you happy, and what other people want, even if it's what you think you're supposed to do. A good person, I need to have a good job. I'd like to go do this, but I have to have something to back me up. I need to have some money. I need to have a house. And so you go do a job that you may or may not like on a sliding scale, or you give your life away. I did this for 10 years. I gave my life away to a spouse that we were not aligned, and my life was falling apart because I was trying to live up to, you know, give her what she wanted at my own expense. So you will run into those throughout your life. And when you choose against yourself, you create a matrix. And one of the ways you know that you're not following your true path is you have financial issues. So to answer that question, I've got a book here, The Shamanic Secret Commandment to a Perfect Life. And so that I don't take up all the time in this time, that book explains how to do that. Bottom line is, you don't have to worry about money. Money is like everything else. It's like health. It's like relationships. It's just a part of the whole thing. It's just a reflection. There's only one thing that you need to do, which is follow your deepest desire. You do that, and then everything else falls into place, including finances. Travis Cup, are we in a computer type simulation? Is that the Matrix? So Travis, based on that question, I assume you're new to my channel, number one, and you're new to this question and answer. So I talked about that earlier. A computer type simulation is a very good starting point to understand what the Matrix is, but it is more than that. A computer simulation is a two-dimensional symbol, and the web of weird is actually multi-dimensional. So the short answer is yes, that's not a complete understanding, but that's very close. Keep watching, keep listening, because I explain what the Matrix really is. When this is done, go back and watch it from the beginning and watch my other videos. Okay? Leah Kingbird, but what do you do with all that energy? So Leah, the fact that you've asked that question tells me that you haven't connected with it. Because if you connect with that energy, you don't ask that question. It's like when you're hungry and you've never eaten food before, and somebody puts food in front of you and you don't know what to do with it. You say, what am I supposed to do with all this? But as soon as you start eating it, then you intuitively know what it is for, and you know how, you know what it's all about. The answer to your question is that energy gives you the ability to master and overcome time and space, which is every human being's destiny is to master time and space. It may take them many lifetimes to do it, but there's nothing preventing you from doing it in this lifetime. Nothing. So the short answer is you use all that energy to master time and space. And more importantly, the reason why you master time and space is so that you are fulfilled and happy. That's the other thing. Any life that it is not filled with happiness is Well, I mean, you'll have to come back and do it again. Because you know, the reason why we're reincarnated is because we don't achieve all of our desires. When we fulfill all of our desires, we don't need to come back. When we are in a state of not living our desires, we are in misery. And so people who say, I hate this world and I don't want to ever, I'm not coming back, I'm not reincarnating, they're guaranteed to come back, because as soon as they're out of the body, they're going to go, oh man, that's right, I wanted to be in that life so I could climb Mount Everest and become a ballerina. Oh, and I didn't do any of those things. No wonder I was miserable. I'm going to go back. And you go back and you do it again. Nobody's forcing you to come back. Nobody's forcing you to be here. So that's the one thing, you got to get rid of this idea that there's some archons or God or whatever that's forcing you to be here. And as long as you believe that, you're just prolonging your stay. So I know you don't trust, maybe you don't trust me, maybe you do. Maybe you don't understand, you don't trust the universe, you don't trust that you are in fact this incredibly important being that is ruling the whole universe. You are ruling everything. Once you give up those old limited ideas, then you can shorten your time. If your goal is to not come back, the first thing you got to do is give up all the victim mentality stuff. And I give you all the tools that I teach, all the meditations, all the Qigong, all the mantra, the Vedic astrology, everything I teach, the runes, everything I teach is to give you tools so that you can be fulfilled, so that you can decide if you want to stay or not. Okay? That's the whole point, is to enjoy your life. If you're not enjoying your life, something's wrong. I'm not saying that you can't have sadness or have challenges. Trust me, I've had this past 6 months have been some of the most challenging, some of the most sad, painful times of my life. So that's part of the human deal here, but it hasn't, so far, knock on plastic, so far it hasn't taken me out of my ability to get everything I want out of life. So that's the goal, is to get everything you want out of this particular incarnation. You may want to do another one later, you may be done. But the whole point is to have a good time. We'll talk more about that later. So I answered Travis's, who's running the matrix? You are. Let me see, what else? Where did I go here? What is disease? Okay, once again, Laura, thank you for the question. Laura I asks, what is disease? I do talk about that a lot. Disease is the same thing. Misery, depression, sadness, overwhelming anger, physical disease, lack of money, all those things come from that one thing I just talked about. When you're not fulfilling your deepest fantasies, one of the main things that happens is you create illness within your body. When we don't live up to what we truly want in life, everybody like this, you get angry with yourself. And because, I could get into that, but again, it has to do with meeting other people's expectations, or the government, or God, or whomever. Because of some other outside reason, you can't be or do whatever it is that you truly want to be, or you don't feel you're allowed to. And so then you deviate from your integrity. And then what happens is that your spirit gets angry with you. You get angry with yourself. And you can't tolerate that, so you push that into your unconscious. Unconscious means you are unconscious of it. You are unaware of it. Your unconscious self-directed negativity then gets lodged in your body, which will have a symbol. Wherever the disease is, will tell you the symbol, will tell you what the issue is. And when it remains unaddressed for years and years and years, it isolates itself and it becomes illness. So that's the short answer. Travis Cup says disease is a lack of subtle energy flow. That's another way of saying if you're not in alignment with your true self, your energy flow will be blocked. So a lot of people try to unblock the energy, but they don't solve the problem. So you can spend thousands of dollars on energy work, on what are those guys with the needles? Acupuncturists, acupressure, meditation, yoga. You can spend your whole life doing that, and you still won't heal yourself if you're not following your deepest desire. If you follow your deepest desire, then you can heal yourself without all that stuff. Okay? Could be as too much force. No. Nope, it's not too much force. When you're connected to infinite energy, you don't feel it as too much. You know, there is a, like for instance, you know, you could have pain, especially people when they're doing Qigong for the first time and the meridians are opening up. They might have joint pain or pain here. That's because their meridians are blocked and energy is coming through and it's getting stuck and it's painful. But when all the meridians are open up, you can have infinite amounts of energy flowing through you. And you won't even feel it. Okay? Alright, so Celestial Qigong, yes. What about Mantak Chia? Mantak Chia taught me a lot of great stuff. There's a lot of stuff I think that he teaches which is garbage. But I mean, if you want to pick up any of his Qigong books or whatever, I think it's great. Stay away from his sexual stuff. That stuff is bad news. Don't do anything unnatural to your body. He's got a lot of books out there. He stole a lot of stuff from other people. And he's been sued by different... He's literally taken other people's books and then just rewrote it almost word for word. So Mantak Chia, great resource when it comes to energy work. His first book, the book about the microcosmic orbit and all that stuff, the 5 elements, I recommend that highly. Go ahead and read that. Stay away from a lot of his other stuff. So I don't know all of his stuff, so I can't talk about all of it, but he was very influential. But I would say, you know, if you're talking to me, I would say do my Celestial Qigong. Forget about that. I think Celestial Qigong is better, but I'm biased. But having said that, I don't begrudge anybody working with any other real teachers. Laurie Smith is thanking me. You're welcome, Laurie. Thank you. What's happening here? Okay, again, I'm looking for the questions, so I'm scrolling through. The one thinker says, like, if I got killed at a young age in my last life, then I gave to reincarnate. I don't understand your question. You didn't reincarnate because you were killed in a past life. We've all been killed in past lives. We've all had thousands and thousands and thousands of lives. I know of at least 2 lives where I've been killed. That's not why you reincarnate. You reincarnate because you haven't achieved all the things you want to achieve. You have not fulfilled all of your desires. It's the only reason you reincarnate. Once you fulfill all your desires, however many lifetimes that takes, whether it's 1 or 10 million, that's when you will stop incarnating. Do you store the chi in your bone marrow, sir? Do I? Well, I don't know if you're asking about a specific practice. There are people that do that. I don't know enough about it to say one way or another. It sounds like a great practice. There are so many great practices out there. I personally don't consciously do that, but I'm sure just because I do energy work and I'm a human being that I do store chi in my bone marrow. So I don't know if I answered your question. Okay. Robert Mugabe. Okay, so again, I love the comments and everything. I'm looking for a question. How do you remember what you came here to do? Excellent question. So you guys are getting to number 5 already, which is the master key. I still want to talk about number 3 and number 4, but the master key. Number 5 is, how do you remember what you came here to do? It's real simple. The way you remember what you came here to do is you ask yourself, in a perfect universe, if I didn't have to worry about money or anybody else's desires, if I didn't have to be responsible for anybody else, the only thing I was required to do was to do the one thing that made me deliriously happy. What comes to your mind? Whatever that is, you've now remembered what you're supposed to do. For me, it's surfing. I surf. You can see one of my surfboards behind me. Surfing is my main focus in life. That's why I don't take any clients before 4 o'clock, because I want to at least have the option to get up and go to the beach and go surfing. And so the other thing that I do is, all this stuff, when I talk, all this stuff is inside of me, and I can't, it's hard to hold it in. It drives me crazy. I have to let it out. And so this is how I make a living. Other people are asking about how to make money. The way that you make money is you make money doing what you would do anyway. That's what you're destined to do. Everybody. What you want and what you are naturally aligned to is what you are destined to do. Okay. Jordan Levine says, man, I just had a huge epiphany when you were saying mastering time and space. Wow, I'm laughing so hard. Thanks, brother. You're welcome. I'm glad. Thank you for sharing that with me. That helps me understand better how to communicate with you guys. Ray Monopoly, but what if you never exposed to the fantasy? How would you ever know you would like to do it? You are exposed to the fantasy. It's in you. It's a program built in you. That's what this book is about. Go read this book. The Shamanic Secret to Commandment to a Perfect Life. Go on michaelwilliamdenny.com and look for that book and buy it. DENNEY.com. You have it. You've been exposed to it. It's there. All you got to do, you can do it right now. You can just fantasize right now. Listen, if you need help, that's why people work with me. Some people can't get to it because there's something in their head that's blocking them. So get a private session with me and I'll help you find it. I guarantee you, I'll help you find it in one session, but you don't need me. You can figure it out on your own. Okay. Gone, try your teaching. Thank you, sir. Okay, bye. Bye, C. Batrano. Thank you for coming on the channel. Talk to you soon. Okay, so I've answered all the questions that I can see at the moment. Anyway. Or have I? Yes, I have answered all the questions right here. So now we get to, let me do some business. All of the things that I talk about, all of my services are about what I'm talking about now. If you want to master your matrix, that's all the things that I do will give you that. So here are some ads, some business, and let me get back to number 3. Okay, so now we get to number 3. So we talked about the first, again, let's look at the 5 tools necessary in order to escape the matrix. Okay, number 3, you have to have a map. You have to have a map of the matrix. There is a map. This is something that I've just had a deeper awareness of. You know, by the way, one of the reasons I do this is because when I talk with you and I spout and I do all that, all of a sudden things become aware. I become aware of things on a deeper level. What my experience of the universe, the knowledge that I have is that it's been downloaded into me in these chunks like zip files. And when I talk, when I teach, when I write books, these zip files get unpacked, and then I'm able to verbalize things that I knew but I didn't quite understand. Your questions, that's why I only focus on your questions. Because when you ask me a question, I am forced to unpack a zip file. So I'm doing it for my own benefit. I want to learn too. You guys help me do that. That's what teachers do. Teachers learn by teaching. A lot of times teachers and writers don't know what they're saying. And they don't know what they're writing at the moment, and then they have to go back and read their own writing. I go back and I listen to myself, because information comes through me that I'm not fully aware of as it's coming through me. So I don't know why I said that, but number 3, we need a map. Oh, because this is a big deal. So remember weird? Weird is the old word for, an ancient word for what people might call fate. And if you see fate or destiny on its surface, you think that it means that you are trapped, you can't help but fulfill your destiny. There's a path in front of you, you have to walk, and you've been forced to walk it. It only looks that way. But the 3 phases of reality, space-time. Space-time is made up of 3 components. That's why we live in a 3-dimensional universe. The 3 components are the 3 norns. These are the norns. The 3 norns are present, past, and future. So I talk a lot about that, but that's how, I'll just say it as briefly as I can. If you need a deeper understanding, please go back and watch the Weird, WYRD, go back and watch the Weird playlists, okay? So, there is only the present moment. There has only ever been the present moment. There will only ever be the present moment. Linear time is an illusion. It does not exist. The past does not exist. The future does not exist. Only the present moment exists. And the way time flows is from present to past to future. We live in ever unfolding present. The past is called origins. Feels like it's the origin, but it's the origin of the future. It's not the origin of the present. The future is called debt, Schuld. And the word should, S-H-O-U-L-D, is Schuld. It means debt. Same thing as the Hindu understanding of karma. Karma is just a debt that has to be paid, positive or negative. You do something positive, quote unquote, you end up with a positive debt. That gets paid to you. You do something negative, which is like basically like you're taking a loan out on yourself. You're gambling against yourself, then you have to pay a debt. It's like a gambling debt. When you act out of alignment with yourself, you have to pay a gambling debt in the future. So you may be living through your debts right now. You may be having all kinds of problems. Well, it's because you were out of alignment with yourself, and now you're living that. You can change that. No matter how bad things are right now, you work to be in alignment with yourself. And every time you focus on what your deepest desire is, you are in alignment with yourself. Every time you focus on what your deepest desire is, you begin creating a debt in the future of that desire. A lot of people don't know what they truly want, and so they think, I want to be rich, I want to have 10 houses, I want to have 60 wives, you know, I want to be whatever it is, President of the United States. Ha! And then you find out when you get there that it's not so fun, because you acted out of alignment with yourself. You act in alignment with yourself, you create an eventual future that will be exactly what you want. That is the matrix. It is weird, the web of weird. That's what it is. That is space-time. three-dimensional space-time. So there is a map. So it's made up of three things: present, past, and future. Now, that when you want the map of space-time, you end up with 9. So 3 times 3 is 9. So threefold of I said it great yesterday or the day before. That the map of the universe, which I'm going to show you here, is a threefold expression of weird. It's a threefold expression of the matrix. 3 times 3 is 9. This is a thunder wheel. It has 9. It's a symbol that you use. It's like a map. So people here have a medicine wheel. This is called a thunder wheel. You use it like a map. You use it to create. Literally use it to create reality. Space-time. This is what it looks like. Okay, so what any shaman who's worth his or her salt will tell you is that the 8 directions, each one of those directions has its own energy property attached to it. Energy is manifested through those 8 directions. Energy comes in and is manifested in a clockwise fashion. So mastering those directions, which is the tree of life. The tree of life has 9 branches. The Norse mythology, which is my ancestors, that's why I wear this thing. That's what this is. I've got this map. I've got it with me all the time. The map of the 9 directions. My ancestors, the Norse, called the tree of life Yggdrasil. It means Odin's horse. And it is composed of 9 worlds. Those 9 worlds are 9 dimensions of reality within the matrix. The matrix is consisted of 9 dimensions. There may be multiple dimensions within those dimensions, but there are 9 basic dimensions. Each one of those dimensions, there are different beings and entities that live within those dimensions. They each have their own properties. We live in the center, which is called Middle Earth or Middle Yard, the Middle Fortress. And it is the Middle Fortress that we live in. That's why I say to you, those of you who think if you can escape your body or do something magical or see lights or talk to ghosts or whatever, if you think that that is going to save you, understand that that's just part of the 9 worlds. We are in the middle. So trying to escape conscious reality is you're actually you're taking yourself out of the most powerful place you can be. Because in the center where human beings live, all of the other 8 dimensions are intersecting here. So if you travel to one of the other dimensions, you can definitely do that. I do it all the time. You can go there and get knowledge and get power and balance things and use it to affect things. But if you're trying to go because you want to live in Asgard, for instance, or you want to live in Vanaheim, then you're taking yourself away from where all the power is. The power is here. All of the other 8 dimensions come in and intersect. They come in and intersect in the middle where you live. That's why you don't want to leave your body. You don't want to escape if what you want is the power to change reality. And again, that doesn't mean that I don't do all of those things. I do practice energy work. I do practice, shamanic journeying. I have exited my body before. I play with energy and magic and all that stuff. I do all of that stuff. So I'm not saying not to do that. Shamanic dreaming, all that stuff. I'm not saying not to do any of that. What I'm saying is that you do that to come back here so you have more power. Don't try to escape. If you're listening to me and you want to escape this world, you are doing yourself a disservice. And you are again getting yourself trapped. The more you want to escape, the more you will stay trapped. Okay? All right. So, this is the map of the Thunder Wheel. I do have some stuff available. You can go on to the thunderwizard.com YouTube channel and click on the playlist of the Thunder Wheel of the 9 worlds. In fact, I have a playlist. If you go down in the description here on this, you will see it. You can click on that. I also have a book and a DVD of what's called Thunder Shamanism. I was looking for my other Qigong DVD, which, oh, there it is. Then I have another DVD called Medicine Wheel Qigong, which gives you the ability to connect energetically to the 9 worlds. Okay, so those are just some tools. But the Thunder Wheel is a map. And when you get into the runes, then you can use the Rune Wheel, which is that now you're really getting into a lot of power. Because when you understand how to manipulate the Rune Wheel, you can literally create anything. Because it's like a decoder ring. This is what the Rune Wheel looks like in its normal form. You can, there's some videos on here of Rune Shamanism. I think there's 4.5 hours. 3 1.5-hour videos of this book here is on the YouTube channel. My Rune Shamanism DVDs are on this YouTube channel for free. Watch them. Go watch them. But all 3 of the books are going to help you with how to use the Rune Wheel. We've got the one I just showed you, which is Rune Shamanism. Then there's Rune Divination. And then the one that really talks about it, or at least just scratches the surface, is Advanced Rune Shamanism. But I have to tell you, and this is some of the things we're dealing with in the Master Shamanism course, thunderwizard.com. I am going into more depth, and I'm about to go into some real depth in how to use that decoder ring, how to use the Rune Wheel. You see all those runes, in the wheel. You can literally just kind of move each one of those rings around and have them set up. And each time you do that, it's like a little, like Stewie's little time travel machine. It creates a new reality for you. I'm just scratching the surface of that myself. The power of that is really phenomenal. But point of all that is that this is the map. And every tradition that has an unbroken connection into prehistory, not ones that have been created in the past couple of thousand years, because those are ones that have been created after the lie of imperial monotheism was given to us. Before that time, every tradition that has an unbroken connection into prehistory teaches that, whether it's Taoism, or whether it's Vedic Hinduism, or whether it's my ethnic tradition, Norse mythology. They all teach you about these 9 realms. The 5 elements are in there, everything. This is the master map. This is the map of the matrix. And if you understand this and know how to use this in ritual, know how to use this in shamanic practice, even in meditation, then you can, there's no limit to what you can create. You become God on earth. So again, you see, why would anybody want to leave? When you got all this power, why would you want to escape it? Why would you want to do that? So anyway, let me see if there are any questions, and then I'll move on to number 4 and number 5. Okay, so I'm trying to scroll through again, you guys. I'm gonna do better if you. Okay, so Travis, what is this? Let me see, where am I? Okay, let me see here, where did I leave off? All right. Okay, so again, I'm just going through I'm going to find the questions. So Ray Monopoly, how do I find the map? I just gave it to you. It's right there. Adam, where do I surf? In the ocean. Okay, Ray Monopoly. So you're saying attempt new things, information that was already stored will be revealed. Okay, that works. The Mead, Knut Karstensen, I hope I pronounced that right, says, or asks, this relates to Norse mythos. What do you suppose the mead signifies on a deeper level? Mead has the same the same symbolism as the soma does in Vedic mythology. It means life force energy. It means chi, prana. Thor is the god of thunder and lightning. He's also the god of life force energy. He is the god of electromagnetism, and he drinks mead. What does that mean? It means that he is constantly, he is life force energy. He is chi energy, prana. Indra in the Vedic drinks soma. So mead is life force energy. That's, if you want to connect to mead, true mead is this. I talked about this before, but it's interesting. You know that if you know anything about the god Thor, Thor has his hammer. Thor has his metal gloves without which he can't pick up the hammer. And he has his belt. Without his belt, he loses half of his energy. Why is that in the mythology? Who would come up with that? Is that just a cute story? No. Norse mythology is teaching you how to do Qigong, how to do energy work. Now, if anybody knows that, lightning, electricity, the last thing you want to do is wear something metal. So why would he want to do that? Well, what does metal do? Metal conducts electricity. So Thor has to put on his metal gloves, which means he has to open up the meridians in his palms in order to conduct life force energy. Actually, he doesn't have to do that. He's teaching us, because when you read the myth and you learn that that's what Thor wears, then like a little kid, you're going to want to wear that. And then you're going to meditate on what that means and holding the hammer. And what you're doing is, on an unconscious level, you're teaching yourself what Qigong means. That's how people come up with these things. Because they read mythology that's transferred, that is channeled directly from the gods to human beings, and they start to act it out. And then they discover something. That's how it always happens. That's why mythology is so important. And the only way you can understand mythology is if you have trained in a tradition that has an unbroken connection into prehistory. That's why the moment that I read that myth, I knew exactly what it meant. I didn't have to spend years. I didn't have to ask anybody. And that's why a lot of people, they don't know what it means and they throw it out and they have no idea. Why does Thor have this and that? They don't understand. I can tell you exactly why. because you need to be able to transmit life force energy through your hands. The metal signifies being able to conduct electrical life force energy through the hands. You need to be able to wear a belt. Without the belt, you'll lose half of your energy. Your navel center, whenever you do Qigong, if you do my practice, I always tell you at the end, take your hands, put them over your navel, breathe long and deep, and pull the energy into your navel center. Focus on that. Your navel center will then store the energy and then send it throughout your body and into your aura. I tell you, if you don't do that, you will leak energy. I knew that long before I read the Norse myth about Thor and what he wears. I'm not making this stuff up. These are keys that will teach you everything you need to know if you know how to read them, if you know how to interpret them. You're lucky that I've gone out and I've trained with Africans and Chinese and with East Indians and with, and now I'm researching my own. You're lucky I've done a lot of work for you. You can go do it too if you want. Please feel free to do all the research. Don't take my word for it. But the keys are there. They're right in front of us. We just have to know how to interpret them. We just have to know how to pick them up. Okay? So thank you for that question. That was a great question for me. Let's see what else we got on here. Again, I'm just looking for a question. Okay. What a 9-point, I think Leah, you're wanting to ask, would a 9-point star be accurate? Yeah, sure. Yeah, that's all I've just given, there's multiple ways to express the 9 worlds. This is one way. Jordan Levine says you have to know yourself well enough to know what the heck makes your heart light up. Jordan Levine, did you really think about that before you said it? Everybody knows what they want. The people who don't know what they want are the people who have talked themselves out of it, either because their parents told them that they couldn't, or their religion, or their government, or they had an idea in their head. You don't have to know yourself well. Everybody knows what they want, unless you're in denial. People who don't have a friendly relationship with themselves don't know what they want. Little kids know exactly what they want. If I ask a kid that same thing, let's create a fantasy in a world where you don't have to work and you don't have to make anybody happy and you can just do what makes you happy. What do you want to do? They will have an immediate answer. They'll know exactly what they want. Now, that may change as they grow old, but if they follow to the letter exactly what they say, I can promise you they will be on the way to being who they're supposed to be. So if you're not able to make your heart light up, there's something broken. You have walked away from yourself. I'm not judging you. We've all done it. I've done it. I just did it recently. I just stepped in it. I just did it. So I'm not above any of it. But if I hear what you're saying, right, that we have to go and study and know ourselves, well, maybe that's not what you're saying, but we don't. It's right there. It's right here, right now. You just have to be willing to listen to yourself and love yourself. And if you have difficulty with that, I understand. And that's one of the reasons I'm here. I do all this stuff basically so that people can find out exactly what that is. Okay. Ray asks, he loves food, that makes his heart light up. Well, I don't know. I mean, if that really is what makes you happy, should you be a chef? That could be it. I don't know if you're using food as a way to self-medicate because you've got pain and misery. Some people say they love food because, some people like drugs. Do you really love food? Is it really a wonderful thing? Then if that's what makes you light up, then yeah, go be a chef. And then you'll make other people happy. How old would you estimate the Matrix is? It's the matrix, there is no time. Time is an illusion. Time is an illusion. There's only the present. Okay, let me see here. Jordan has a lot of opinions, so I'm going to let him talk. All right, so Ray, you're asking a lot of questions that I don't think are ultimately serving you, how to levitate, stuff like that. Watch my videos. Okay. Okay, Ray, you got a lot of things to say, but no questions. So again, questions are going to get my attention, and I want to help people who actually have questions. Okay, let's see here. Spiritual Path of Light 2015, do you have any videos on this? Yes. I don't know what this is, but I more than likely have a video on it. Go to Amazon.com and just type in my name, Michael William Denny, and all of my videos will come up. I also have on this channel. Search this channel. There are, I don't know how many hundreds of videos on this channel. I've probably talked about whatever it is you're asking about. Awake Maven says, what if your ancestry isn't Norse? It doesn't matter. Because that same map is the same in other traditions, they just use different symbols. So I'm not saying don't go after your own ancestry. I think people should if they want to, but you don't have to. Because it's all the same. Again, the Chinese have mastered one thing. The Africans have mastered one thing. Native Americans have mastered one thing. But if you put all those things together, they're saying the same thing at the core. So if you're attracted to what I teach, just stick with me. I'll teach you everything you need to know. Maybe. I hope. That's my goal. But if you want to find out your own ancestry, you can. This is not a racial thing. Each race is just human beings who were, what happened was 50,000 years ago, there was only one race of people. And a lot of people aren't going to like hearing this, but there was only one race of people. They were Africans. We were all dark-skinned. You can tell. You see all the spots on here, all the freckles. That's the part of me that that hasn't forgotten. You know, we still have that. We were all Africans at one point. 50,000 years ago, according to the Hopi myth, the Hopi prophecy says that spirit, whatever that means, came to the human race and said, I'm going to send you off in 4 different directions. You're going to become 4 different races, and you're going to master the elements. White people mastered fire, which is why we have created things like the light bulb and cars and nuclear bombs. Those are all based on fire. But it doesn't matter. We're all human beings. You take this off, and we all have the same DNA. You can learn from any race out there if you find a real tradition. So if you like what I'm teaching, stick with me. If you want to learn another, please mix and match. Do whatever makes you happy. Okay. Again, yeah, like people having... what importance is the upcoming total eclipse? I don't know specifically, but I can tell you that eclipses and new moons are the most powerful times to do ritual, mantra, and energy work. So if you have something you want to manifest in your life, if you want to change something, then I would recommend on the eclipse to do your meditation or your mantra or on the eclipse. It's the best time to do it. Okay, again, those of you who are putting just typing in a lot of stuff, I'm not going to respond to that because I really want to respond to questions more than anything else. So questions are encouraged. Robert Mugabe, I felt the life energy when chanting vowel or bija sounds with chakra chants. Is that something you also do, or is it kind of new agey? Is what you just mentioned new agey? Yeah, but that doesn't mean it doesn't work. I do those things. That's what runes are, and I guess I'll plug Vedic astrology here. One of the things that you will get if you work with me, either if you join up at I think the 3rd level of subscription at thunderwizard.com, or if you get a transformation package, or if you get a Vedic astrology reading, is that I will find out from your specific vibrational energy which is in your chart. I will find out which syllables will be the most powerful for you to chant. I will find out which syllable will be the most powerful for you to take as your spiritual name, that whenever anybody calls you by that name, you will immediately be vibrated to your highest level of awareness, and will bring you luck and success in your life, because each of us has our own bunch of different vibrations. So I do that, but it's also very specific to you. What works for me may not work for you, but I can see in your chart. So go to astrology.thunderwizard.com if you want that. Okay. Again, I'm looking for questions. Travis Cup says, would you say Chi, Prana, Mead, and Holy Spirit would all be the same? I would not say Holy Spirit, because I think I talk a lot about that. To understand my thoughts about Christianity, read this book. Where is it? Read this book. So I don't respond well to the word Holy Spirit. So I don't think that it is connected. I suppose when you think about it, people are filled with the Holy Spirit and touched by the Holy Spirit. No, even that's not the same. That's not the same. That's like seed, which is channeling. So I wouldn't say that's the same. That's a whole different deal. So, I mean, I can see the parallels, but I would have to say, in my opinion, that doesn't quite work. Okay. Again, I'm looking for the questions. You guys have a lot of thoughts. Martin Macias says, are you familiar with Joseph Campbell's hero's journey? No. If I'm right, I think Joseph Campbell is the guy who's done some work with mythology, and he's trying to connect mythology. Hero's journey is the basis to most all movies. Well, you know, he's definitely tapping into, just based on what you've said, and I think, if I'm remembering, I'm not familiar with him, but if I think of what other people have said, if that's the same guy, he's tapping into you know, basic truths which come out in symbolism, which comes out everywhere. That's why all mythology, like I said earlier, you know, because I have studied Vedic mythology and I know what it means, because I've studied Taoist mythology and I know what the symbols mean, which in every mythology there is a secret teaching that traditionally this is why it had to be passed from teacher to student, because the average person would hear a myth or read a myth, and it would impact them on an unconscious level and on an energetic level, but they wouldn't necessarily know what the hidden meanings are in it. Same with the Tao Te Ching. The Tao Te Ching is teaching energy work, but you have to know what the symbols are. That's why, because I've done that, the moment I picked up the Norse myths and I read about Thor, I knew immediately what the symbolism was. So I don't know if I answered your question, but that sounds like that's what he's doing too. Yeah, an archetype. So yeah, he's obviously tapping into that same thing where he's teaching archetypes. And all archetypes, if they're true archetypes, they are filters through which the gods teach us how to do what I'm saying, which is to master life force energy. Okay, so that's the map. So for that, if you want to do the map, again, get a Vedic astrological reading from me, because I can tell you which planets, I can tell you which directions, I can tell you which elements, I can tell you which sounds you need in order to, at least to some degree, how to get the most out of that map, which is the thunder wheel. Okay? All right. Um, Alicia Cole, are you going to teach on Vedic astrology on the Patreon site? Sure. Yeah, eventually. So here's the way: if you are my student, keep asking me to teach things. You know, I may not hear you the first time. A lot of people are asking me a lot of stuff. Just keep hammering away if it's something you really want to learn. And if enough people ask that, or if whatever the universe decides, again, if you have strong enough intent, you can make me teach whatever you want. If you have strong enough intent. But keep asking me about that. I would love to teach that at some point. All right, so we've talked about the map. So now I've already started on number 4, which is the map is how you create wormholes, right? That's what these 8 directions teach you to do. These 8 directions give you the ability to create wormholes in the time-space continuum, literally, and nobody will know you're doing it. But let's see, what is number 4 according to this list? Okay, so I already started talking about that, how to cheat the matrix. So when you've got those 3 tools, the knowledge, the power, and the map, which that's pretty much all you need. But now you need to know what to do in the map. What do you do with that? This is where ritual comes in. So we talked about this. I won't go too deep into it. You have 3 selves. You're not one person, you're 3. You have your conscious self in the middle. You have your higher self up here. And you have your lower self. I'm touching my navel. And why did I say that? Why did I start talking about that? Yeah, now I remember. So you have to be able to know how to program your unconscious mind, your lower self. If you don't know how to program your unconscious mind will program and rule you. And this is part of the reason why we're here. People who don't have to come back are people who have mastered their unconscious. So the unconscious is the powerhouse that creates your matrix. And so ritual in the thunder wheel gives you literally cheats into the matrix in time and space. Knowing which direction to face, knowing which sound to use, knowing which time of day, knowing which element, knowing which deity, knowing which planet. Doing like the one way, the fastest way, the tool, the fastest way to do it is this one. The spell of the 9 knots. Spell of the 9 knots is one of the fastest cheats that there is. It's one of the most powerful. Please don't do it unless you're very clear on why you're doing it, because that old saying of be careful what you ask for. The power is very intense when you're able to tap into it. And I teach a method of the spell of the 9 knots from within the 9 worlds, from within the thunder wheel. And the spell of the 9 knots is an ancient chant that if you go online, you can find variations of it, but it's the same. I've found one that I believe works best for modern English. And anyway, I talk about that, about the 9 vortexes in the body and how they connect with the 9 worlds. So that's the fastest way, that's the fastest cheat, but that's not the only way. Mantra, ritual, working with gods, working with deities, all of these things, and I teach all different various ways of doing that. I don't have time to go into each of them. I just gave you one. If you want one, just go do that. That'll teach you more than just about anything. But to really be able to master it, you need, well, maybe you don't need. One of the things that might best help you is if you get a Vedic reading from me, get a 9-world rune reading from me, and whatever. Use that in the 9 world. I'm starting to run out of steam here. So I think that's enough for number 4. And then we've got number 5. So we're almost done. Okay, so before I go into the last one, which I've already talked about at length, let me see if there's any other questions in here. The thinker wants to learn Vedic astrology. Great. Travis Cup, do you feel the Anunnaki genetically altered the human man in the past? Travis, the Anunnaki comes from the ancient Mesopotamian mythology. And I'm going to tell you something you may not like. A lot of people won't want to hear what I'm about to say. The stuff that is being taught about the Anunnaki is incorrect. The myths, if you read the Mesopotamian myth, maybe I should do that someday. That's not my thing, but I have read it. At least what's available. It is the same as Norse mythology. It's the same as Vedic mythology. It's not some secret thing about Anunnaki genetically manipulating. That comes from that fear-based, flat world. We're being held captive. It comes from that. So that doesn't mean that there aren't truths in those teachings, because that's part of the trap. Is that a lot of teachings will have some truths in it, but they'll be incomplete. Any teaching that teaches you that you are trapped is a teaching that will keep you trapped. So the short answer is no. That's somebody taking it who doesn't understand mythology, who's taking it and trying to literally interpret it based on their modern fear-based, 21st century misunderstandings about what the matrix is, about what time-space is. So I don't buy into any of that stuff. Anyway, I know that's going to upset a lot of people, but that is my understanding. All right, so now I'm going to talk about the one key. So the one key, if you understand what the one key is, you won't have to, you won't have to read all that stuff, you guys. I used to do it. I did it for years. I know people. I've had students who've done it, really into it. I want to ask you a question before we go any further, and this will lead into this. Are you afraid? It's not a judgment. Honestly answer that question. Are you afraid of this universe? Are you afraid of aliens, demons, the government, your neighbor, psychic vampires, ghosts? Are you afraid of living here? My next question is, do you want to stay that way? Would you like to not have to be afraid? Would you like to know that there is no being above you that is doing it to you? Would you like to know that you have connection to all of reality? If so, then keep listening. Because now we're getting to number 5, which is, if you master the 5th one, you don't have to master any of them. The other ones are fun, and the other ones are for people who need a way out. I did. I needed a way out. I needed to climb out of the hell that I was in. I needed to climb out of the fear, the limitation that I was in. And I went after the most powerful teachings I could find, and I was lucky enough that I found stuff that even to this day you still can't find. No matter you go to China or India or wherever, you won't find it, because it's secret stuff that I was lucky enough that I found it. But even though I found what I believe to be the most powerful, energetic, and magical teachings that have ever existed or ever will exist, there's only one thing you need to know, which is what we've been talking about. So the book for that, if you ever, I've already put it up there, the book for that, if you ever want to read it, which, again, if you master it, you don't have to do any of this other stuff, is this one, The Shamanic Secret Commandment to a Perfect Life. There's only one thing that you are supposed to do, and that is the key. The one thing that you are supposed to do is to fulfill all of your desires. If your desire, like me, was to learn esoteric knowledge, then that's what you should do. If your desire is to be a chef, as somebody pointed out, that is what you're supposed to do. In order to do that, you have to understand how this whole thing works. There is no God that did it to you. You are not here because you made mistakes and made bad karma or sinned. You're not here because of beings who are trying to suck the life force out of you. You are here because you were everything. You originally were everything. You lived in infinite bliss, and it got boring. And so you wanted to learn more. In order to do that, you had to go from a state of infinite perfection and become limited imperfection. And so you became a human being. You chose to become a human being. You chose to create this matrix. And you are creating it every single second. In the present moment, you have thoughts, feelings, attitudes, beliefs, intentions, fantasies. And every single one of those things and the actions that you take on them creates the past. And the past then creates a debt you have to live out. That is the threefold, three-dimensional web of weird, the matrix. That's all it is. It is nothing more than that. If you want to look at somebody, some evil archon that's doing it to you, it's you. Every time you take an action that is not connected to your deepest desire, and I'm not saying you have to be perfect, I'm not saying that, but when you make decisions based out of fear, they're going to get me, they're going to do it to me. I need to learn that meditation, I need to escape, I need to become enlightened. I need to I need to date 20 women at a time or I won't be happy. I need to make $1 million. I need to steal from that guy. I need to, whatever it is, if it's out of alignment with you being aligned to yourself, you create a past that will have a challenging debt that you will have to pay. You'll have to live it out. So we're doing that all the time. So the point is, don't get caught up in the past or the future. Stay in the present moment, and the best way to stay in the present moment is to ask yourself, what is it that I really want? What makes me happy? If you can't answer that question, I don't know what makes me happy, a lot of people are like that. It just means you have to face some guilt you have within yourself about wanting to either please somebody, or even it's in your head, I want to be a good person, I want to be a successful person. You're wanting other people's approval. And I know a lot of people are going to say, I don't need other people's approval, but trust me, we all do. We all need it. We're wired that way. And when we make decisions based on what other people want or what we think we're supposed to be, and it's not in alignment with our deepest desire, we create a past which then we have to live out. So the one thing that you need to know at all times, always ask yourself, what gives me joy? What gives me true joy? And you don't have to feel joyful or blissful or crazy happy. You don't have to, you just have to go after it. For me, I was living in a marriage, even though I had achieved mastery. I was a shaman master. I was a master Qigong teacher. I was a master martial artist, master internal martial artist. I was a master shamanic drummer. And I had students from all over the world that would come and train with me and all these different things. I was miserable because I was living for somebody else. I was not living what made me happy. And when I finally, I was sick. I had arthritis. I had knee pain. I had joint pain. I had back pain. I was 49 years of age. I was already an old man, and I was just going to have to live with all of these illnesses, incurable illnesses. I cured myself simply by going after what made me happy. I left Idaho. I moved here I lived in the mountains here in Southern California, and I lived up in the mountains because I wanted to hike in the mountains and I wanted to surf every day. Now, I couldn't do them both because you have to drive an hour and a half both ways, but I ended up doing it. And then I ended up moving down here, you know, close to the beach, because surfing was more important than hiking. And I have no physical ailments. I have, the last time I had my numbers checked, which was like a year and a half ago, I had the numbers of a 25-year-old Olympic athlete. You know, I'm not supposed to be this happy and in this much health. I shouldn't be. I changed my past. I lived in the present and I changed my past. And my future is now, I can control that. Well, I'm learning how to do it. That's the one thing. The one thing you need to know is just be happy. Go after what makes you happy. If you don't know what it is that makes you happy, then there are people like me that can help you. And I feel pretty confident I can find out in one session what it is that makes you happy. Now, you might say I'm wrong. Maybe you'll disagree after you work with me, but I think I can. And then I have all these other tools that I found that can help you make all the cheats, find all the wormholes, and learn how to master your unconscious so that you can project what you want. And then you won't need to come back anymore. I'm having too much fun. I don't want to leave yet. I'm having way too much fun. I've got the love of my life. I've got the physical health I've always wanted. I have the career I've always wanted. This is what I do all day. I don't do anything else. I only do what I want to do, and people pay me to do it. I'm not bragging. You can have that too. This isn't unique to me. Everybody can have this. I'll shut up with this. Again, I want to remind you about how the matrix works. The matrix is made up of a web of life force energy that is conscious. That conscious life force energy thinks that you know you're God. It doesn't know that you don't realize that. So when you live in fear, when you adopt any belief system that says that you are trapped or that you're sinful, whatever it is, I could go on and list there's so many of them. Just about any religion or misunderstanding of any religion says that. If you believe that, the matrix goes, okay, I can make that for you. If that's what you want, Master. It's designed, you designed it to do that so that you would finally remember that you can do everything. And that what drives you is your desire. The whole universe is, and this, I'm not just making this up, you can find this in true scriptures like Vedic scriptures. You'll find at some point you'll see that the universe, the matrix, is made up of desire. So you can have false desire, which is desire that comes out of fear. Oh, I need to be rich. Oh, I need 20 women. I need to be super powerful. Those are coming out of fear. Those desires come out of a feeling that the universe won't provide what you want. So you have to go out and cut corners or steal or be whatever. But your true desire that says whatever it is, that really does make you happy. When you operate from that level, the life force energy of the universe says, okay, I'll give you that. That's different from the secret. The secret says what you focus on, you create. It's only partially true. People are trying to focus on becoming millionaires and having mansions, and they're still driving beat-up old Volkswagens and living in studio apartments. So it's not what you focus on. That's only part of the truth. The other part is, you just have to focus on what makes you happy. And the universe, the matrix, is designed to give you 100% of that as long as you stay out of your own way. We don't. That's part of the lesson too, is we bump into, like I said, we bump into situations where we have to make a choice between what we think we want, what other people want, and what we truly want. We have to take the risk of losing people's affection or approval. Or we have to take the risk of losing the money or the security and going after what we want. It's designed to always keep you bumping into that. But as long as you keep making choices based on the belief that you're going to get what you need, as long as you fulfill yourself, you can keep having plateaus of being able to do what I just said. Creating the past and creating the past which will create your future. Okay? All right, so I've gone through all 5. And let me see, I'm going to do some business while I see what kind of questions there are. Okay, so the last few questions, I answered most of them, but I keep taking my glasses off, but I need to. Laura, you ask a good question. I've already answered it, but I'll answer it again. Who makes these rules anyway? You did. You just don't remember. You are everything. You're God. There is nobody beyond you. You can worship whoever you want, but you're God. You made these rules. Nobody is making them. You already made them. Long before you incarnated. It's just easier if you accept it. Just accept that. It just makes things a lot easier. My question is, could having, Country Life Tales says, my question is, could having more than one desire be okay? It's not possible. What is more than you desire? What does that mean? That tells me you're not quite sure what it is you want. Yeah, it's okay. But then we start talking about a waste of energy. It's like, you know, you only need so much food to get through the day, right? Like I have a certain protein requirement because I need a lot of protein. So, you know, once I hit that protein, I know I've had enough protein because I'm not hungry anymore. So is it okay for me to eat more, like eat another chicken? I mean, it's okay, but then I'm asking my body to process more than it needs, and that's not, I don't want that. So you're never going to be in a position of having more than you need. Or it won't be something you have to juggle. It's always there. You already have more than you need. You already do. So is it okay? It's totally okay. Give yourself everything that you want. Maybe I'm hearing this wrong. Maybe you think you only want this, and you're doing that out of some kind of guilt. If not you, I know somebody out there is. You know, you say, well, I only need this, but in reality you want this. And you're saying, but I only need this, and you're trying to be a good person, and I won't take more. Have everything you want. Have the whole thing. You'll know when you have what you want because you'll be satisfied. You won't want any more. And I'm not talking about addictions like food or sex or drugs. That stuff you never satisfy. That's not, you know, there's never enough sex or drugs, or there's never enough. But in terms of living your desire, you get it, and then there's more, and then the next day you want more, and the universe brings you more. You grow. So yes, you can have as much as you want. There's no limit to what you can have and what you can be. As a person who has wanted to try everything and who has done most of what I wanted, I'm not sure how to narrow it down. So that means that you're not quite sure what it is you want. If you're having a hard time narrowing it down, you narrow it down to the feeling of what gives me joy. What is it that gives you joy? Maybe you like doing a bunch of things. Maybe tomorrow you'll like doing something else. I don't know. But if you're having trouble narrowing it down, it means that you either don't know what you want, or you're operating from a, but if I did this and if I did that, so you're kind of in the, like the sex and drugs kind of thing. Nothing's ever enough. So that stuff won't ever make you happy. So again, maybe you need to meditate on what it is that really makes you happy. What is it that makes you happy? Deep, deep, deep down inside. Like I'm having a great time right now. This is fun. I'm having a lot of fun. So I'm doing exactly what I'm supposed to do. Okay, what about, C. Batrano says, what about you do something and after some time you realize it's not what makes you truly happy? Then you do what you want. I mean, that's part of it. I did that. We all do it. That's that's wired into the game. You have created the matrix in such a way that you constantly keep waking yourself up. And you wake yourself up when you go, I don't like this, I want to do something else. You're waking up. And it's designed that way. So that's going to happen. It's great. Then do what you want. Listen to yourself and go do what you want. And if you don't know, then ask yourself why. Who is it I'm trying to please? Because when you live to please other people, you harm yourself. And when you harm yourself, you harm others. When you live to please others, you harm yourself. I don't know if I said that right. When you live to please others, you harm yourself. And when you harm yourself, you harm others. When you live to please yourself, you help others, whether they're happy with your choice or not. You will be helping them. There's no way not to help others when you are helping yourself. Robert Mugabe says, have you read Eugene Ferson's book, Science of Being? You're saying what he said, but in a way easier to understand for people today. In fact, you make it clear. Brilliant live stream. Thank you, Robert Mugabe. I have not read his book, but it sounds like I don't need to, I guess. Is a process. Yes, everything is a process. All right. All right, so I've run out of questions. I'm running out of steam. I've gotten through all 5 things. Doing some ads here just for a second, and then I'll have a last minute something or other to say. Okay, so I don't see any more questions here, so I'm going to go ahead and end it. For those of you that want to get really, really deep into this stuff, like all the tools, runes, Qigong, Vedic astrology, then go to thunderwizard.com and subscribe, I believe, at I think the 2nd or 3rd level, whichever one that gives you access to all of the private weekly, well, ideally weekly videos. The best way to take use of it is to work with me on a personal level. It's getting hard. That's going to get harder because we're moving into the fall, and so my schedule is going to start to fill up. So now's the time if you want to work with me, if you want a Vedic astrological reading, if you want a transformation package, if you want a 9-world rune reading, or if you want just simply to work with me to help you find out what it is you truly want, get a session with me. The easiest way to get a session is you just go and go to astrology.thunderwizard.com and book an astrology reading. Even if all you want is a session, you can just put in the notes, I don't need Vedic reading, I need a session. And then what happens is you'll know, I'll tell you how to schedule a session with me. It is my hope that I take this knowledge. First off, if you're new, watch my videos. All of the questions that you have are in my videos. Watch my videos. The free videos here on the thunderwizard.com YouTube channel, there are hundreds of them. Watch them. Binge watch them. What else? My hope is to have 250 subscribers on just the level that the people come in and watch the videos at. I think it's the 3rd level. I want a minimum of 250 subscribers. Help me to create that. I will run out of room at the higher levels because that's when you work with me on a personal level, and at some point I will run out of time. So get on that. If you're waiting, get on it now. Take advantage of it while it's still there. What else? I think that's it. I think that's it. We're moving into a, I can feel that we're moving into a really powerful place. We're moving into a place where people are going to, this, what I'm talking about now, is going to become more mainstream. So if you have any questions, you know, and you like the videos, you can put questions in the videos. What else? Anything else? I think I've done all the business here. So I'm going to check one last time for any good comments or questions. So no, people are saying thank you, and so thank you as well. Until next time, just simply remember that there's only one thing that you need to master time and space, and that is to simply go after doing what makes you happy. Everything else is just icing on the cake. And if you go after what truly makes you happy, you don't need to do all this other stuff that I've said, but it's a lot of fun. I still recommend it. Alright, so that's it for now, my friends. Until I get the urge to talk again, I will see you. Have a great evening.